Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, December 21st, 2010, and today is the day that the FCC is going to be voting on its new net neutrality order. Now, for those of you who don't know what net neutrality is, it protects users of the internet from their service providers changing the speed at which you receive certain websites to make competitors' websites load slower or not at all, and from it keeps again your service providers from making you pay money to access certain websites. Now, this is a big deal for a lot of people because the internet is free, and this order is not doing that. Now, again, not much is known about this order. We do know that it does not count mobile devices like cell phones or iPhones or iTouches or whatever that isn't a computer as protected by net neutrality, and it will allow what service providers to charge to access certain sites on top of paying money to even access the internet in general. Now this is not okay, as it is censorship in the basest form, because now someone else is controlling what data we can and cannot see, at least through our phones, and as things progress, everyone knows that things start out small and they escalate over time. Now, this is a very big concern because this is a stepping stone, and has more loopholes than just not counting mobile devices. It has loopholes that define networks as they're way too specific, so people can get around it. It's not good. Now, again, onto this idea of net neutrality is that apparently that earlier in the past that Google and Verizon have come out with this thing that destroys it. It would allow for people to have to pay to even access certain websites and such. And they've defended this by saying carriers need to manage their networks as they see fit and generate revenue from this. Like, these big companies that provide us our internet already are generating enough revenue every month just by us paying to use their cable, their phones, their internet. They do not need to be making any more money through us even accessing certain sites after we've already paid for our internet. We pay for something expecting to get it all, not just parts of it. And this is further coupled by the fact that the FCC has been told by the Supreme Court that they do not have the authority to enforce all the net neutrality ideas, which is a major blow to our freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of information, freedom of press, because now we're told that no one can protect us from not getting the full story when it comes to news. Now, I know my audience, I know you guys, a lot of you guys care a lot about your freedoms, and this is a big one. Everyone cares that they get to do what they want when they want, or they have certain beliefs that say they don't need to. Now, this is a big deal for the people who really care about their freedoms and care about the ability to get whatever information they want, use whatever outlet to post their views as they want, and have the freedom to do so without being told no, or being charged money to use something that people are providing for free. Not to mention, this would be forcing people to be using things that no one would be able to see otherwise. You would only be for example, YouTube itself. Some companies would charge people to access the YouTube as a website, but not charge people money to access that that company's own video sharing website, which would make everyone who can't afford to use something that is global. They would be forced to use something that isn't, and something that probably isn't as good, and isn't as popular, and nobody can really see what they do. And on top of this, even owners of websites who would be looking to make money themselves, such as Barry Diller, who oversees Expedia and other websites, is even saying that the concept of not having net neutrality is the equivalent of having a toaster pay to plug itself into the electric grid. So we're basically paying one to have our own internet, and then paying to get into it if this order gets passed. You need to know as a people that this is wrong. No one should have to pay for something they already own. No one should have to pay for something, to use something, and then have to pay again every time they use it. That's dumb. That's extortion. That's extorting the citizens of our country of their money by all sorts of backwards, and simply by making us pay money to access the internet. Now, this is very important to me and to a lot of people I know, because we access the internet on a daily basis. We don't stick to one site. We're big advocates of the internet. We're big advocates of the freedom of the internet, because we like having our information free. We like having access to any information we want, whenever we want, simply because we know that's what we own. We own our own freedom to have information. We own our own freedom to speak on that information. We own our own freedom to visit any site we want, that within legalities. I know that it's illegal to view some sites because it's not legal to do those exact things in the real world. I mean, you can't have a 10-year-old looking at porn. That's illegal. It's and even that's weird. Because I don't know. That makes sense simply because it's not denying access. It's not denying access to information or data, because that's not information or data. And well, no, it is data, not information. And we're not allowed, as a youth. No minor is allowed to watch that sort of thing in real life. And so companies can get into big trouble if they allow minors to view that in the internet. I understand that companies put up blocks to make sure that little kids don't get to stuff like that, or there's other websites out there that's really the only thing that I can come up with. That's the only thing that I know of, because everything else, you have to be 18 to buy stuff on the internet, because then you will have proof that you exist and that you are a real person. Because they have checks for this, so they don't need to censor us, because they already have things in place to make sure that people are already being censored. We're already being censored, and that in itself is an issue. But this net neutrality thing is just is insane and stupid, because it's telling you that you can't even access legal stuff without paying for it, or without it being blocked, depending on whether or not your provider wants you seeing that website or not. As an example, if you get your internet through Comcast and they don't want you seeing Charter's website, because they know that Charter is in the same area that you operate in, they can make that website load slower than theirs. They can they can prevent that website from even operating on your computer, and they might even charge you for trying to access it. Now, that's not right, because in our free market, in what we consider a free market, we have the ability to choose what we have. If we don't like something, we can go test out something else or look at something else. The internet is all about that. Nobody should be able to control it, and giving control of the internet to a small group of people instead of everyone, instead of giving the people the right to choose what they do and do not view, you're giving control to a small group of people that are only looking to make a buck. That's what companies do. They look to make money. And while I understand that they need to make a living too, they already have enough. I mean, obviously, with what big companies have done with our I can't think of the word, but with the government giving the bailout money, just increasing bonuses. Obviously, they're making enough money already, and they don't need to be charging us anymore. Especially when the only people who will be able to actually enjoy a free access of information, and not have to worry about how much it's going to cost them, are the people who have money already, which is the owners of these websites, which would be company owners, upper middle class people, because everyone is scared to spend, because nobody wants to have to waste more money on what they already own. And the lower class people, the lower class in the economy, can't afford to constantly be spending their money. So eventually, it's going to just drive our economy down even further, because even more people are going to be spending less money, which means there's going to be less revenue being generated, which means less jobs, which increases everything, because people without jobs are not going to want to spend their money, because they're going to lose it all faster. So this whole bill is just a bad idea. It defiles the freedoms that we were given of information and of speech, and it will ruin our economy further down the line as costs pile up. Because while it looks cheap now, after a while, you're going to be spending more and more money as this becomes mainstream. Now, we can't allow this to happen, so contact your representatives and contact the FCC and let them know that you do not, that this can't happen, and that there should be no such thing as this bill. This bill should not be passed, and we should continue to have net neutrality. No company should be allowed to charge money to access websites. No money should be allowed to censor what we access. No company should be allowed to alter our connection to the internet based on where we're going. We already pay for a certain connection, for a certain type of connection. Why would we want it changed on us just for accessing another website? Let our leaders know that we will not stand for this now. Do it respectfully, because they won't take you seriously if you don't. But you need to voters of America need to let our representatives and our government know they can't do this. This isn't constitutional.